Welcome to Scream Queens Horror Movie Road Trip Podcast. That loud bitch is your final girl, Miss Justine.
Oh, and that loud bitch over
here. This loud bitch over here is Mr. Josh, your soul survivor.
Mr. Josh. How are you?
Good, just stepping over your intro, that's all. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just sitting right next to you.
We're being so cordial and
polite. Well, it's been a long morning.
We've been driving for days. We are currently on Interstate 81 heading north through Virginia. Mm-hmm. We just passed like Marion and actually something called Route 666, which Justine did not get a picture of, but she said she could sketch it for you.
I could sketch it, yeah. So. I didn't have my phone ready because I was about to push the button.
But just know, in Virginia there's a Route 666.
They don't shy away from it. They, I guess, don't have any superstitions about that. I guess that's good.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll come cruise Route 666. Right now, we are heading to... Tell them.
We're going to Burkittsville, Maryland.
Does that sound familiar to you guys?
Maybe you've heard of it before. It's just infamous for...
Something happened there with like... a witch?
There was a lot of things that happened there. There's been a couple of movies, of found footage that has been found there over the years.
Guys, in 1994, 3 hikers went out to make a movie, and their footage was found a year later. And that's the movie we're going to talk about.
And they ain't never coming back.
The Blair Witch Project, y'all! And yes, we know it's not true.
No, It's totally not true. But you have got to give props to the creators of the whole lore, to the directors/writers of the movie, because they made sure that there was almost a question of like, did the Blair Witch actually exist?
Back in 1999, the movie came out in the summer, but before it was released, there was this really cool internet campaign. It was kind of the first of its kind, where the website came out. It was blairwitch.com, I believe, and it presented the movie like it was all fact. So before the movie came out, people were convinced that this was a real deal, that we were going in to see some kind of snuff film.
We were, being raised at that point to believe that if it was on the internet,
it was real.
It's real. I mean, now it is fact.
And the website was really cool. I remember checking it out. I saw it for the first time in Houston a few weeks before its wide release, and I can remember all of us, my family that went and saw it, just like really into it, like into the lore of it. Mm-hmm. And debating, is it real? No, it can't be.
It can't be real.
So that was exciting. It was revolutionary at the time, and that's what we're covering. We're heading up to Burkittsville, Maryland. We're like hours away. But
so far away.
as you might know, if you followed this movie, not much was actually shot in Burkittsville. So we're taking a leap. There was like an establishing shot of the town, and then they're in the cemetery. So we'll go visit the cemetery. We're going to walk around the town, just see what's up. But apparently the townsfolk, the townies, don't really like the attention that their town has gotten from the movie. So we got to be careful talking about the Blair Witch while we're there.
Almost in a whisper.
In a whisper. The Blair Witch.
And one of the pair of writer-directors who created this Blair Witch project.
Phenomenon.
And Eduardo Sanchez, his sister, went to Blair High School, and that's where he kind of got the Blair Witch was from. His little sis or big side red sister, I don't know which one. Maybe he is both. Maybe he just has one that's under. Maybe it's one that's
under and over.
I don't know. But his sister went to Blair High School, and that is how Blair Witch came about.
They speak later saying that the town of Burkittsville was originally called Blair. I'm not sure if that's true. Is that historically accurate?
That is the lore that they have created around
in the movie,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that's like real deal.
Yeah.
We will find out when we're visiting Burkittsville.
We might take a picture of it.
Is it really called Blair?
There's a high school there, so maybe once upon a time there was. And this movie, it's a small film as far as budget-wise, but it made bukus of bucks.
Yeah, at the time it was the largest grossing independent film. Might still be, because they made it for like $36,000 or less, and most of that was their marketing, I believe. But yeah,
it was a
look
lot.
How much money they made back.
They
Or
hold
maybe
the
that
Guinness-
number was before marketing was 36,000.
Yeah, I have a little stuff written down, but it is the holder of the Guinness Book of World Records for top budget box office ratio.
Ooh,
So
get
it cost, before the studio bought it and put another $1 million into creating that digital platform. That's why they spent so much money on it, was that kind of advertisement. But before it was 60,000 that it took to make it, and it made 248 million. So for every dollar that was spent, it made 10,931 bucks.
Well,
that's a lot of
good
money.
for them.
A lot of muns.
I hope they all made some good money off of it.
Yeah, definitely, because the three actors, they have the same names, as it's Heather Donahue, Michael C. Williams, and Joshua Leonard.
And they're all playing versions of themselves in a way. But a character nonetheless.
They are in character the whole time. They stayed in character for the 8 days of shooting.
And they may be annoying as hell, but...
a little over the top, to the point that the two directors at one point, it was only any time during the filming, but they interrupted the kind of like the ambiance that they had created because one of the actors was getting a little too abrasive.
And physical, maybe with women.
So there was...
they'll be like, hey, rein it in. This is still a movie. You can't attack Heather.
Mm-hmm. and well, actually, they initially went in because Heather was being abrasive.
Was being, yeah.
But in that same... interruption, it was just really heated. So they are staying in character. They don't, like, a lot of their reactions in the film are real. They don't know if maybe the tent is going to be, messed with, things like that. So they're putting on a really good show. They are acting.
Mm-hmm. The movie was shot on both 16 millimeter and black and white 16 millimeter and color video. I think he said it was high 8. Which I guessed watching, I was like, this looks like a cheap high 8 tape.
High 8!
And then it was, and that's what's cool about this movie, is that they made it like so low budget with like things you can find at like Target for $30 at the time, or whatever.
Yeah.
And they made millions. But just because it's innovative doesn't mean it's my favorite movie. We'll talk about it. Let's get into it.
Let's go ahead and get into it. So I think we've just kind of like gone about everything that we wanted to beforehand. So let me flip the page, guys. Gotta flip the page in my notebook.
Gotta flip it and reverse it, or maybe just flip it.
Flip it and reverse it. It's the Blair Witch. It's the Blair Witch. Okay. All right. So opening the title card, it just says on October 21st, 1994, Heather, Josh, and Mike hiked into Maryland's Black Hills Forest to shoot a documentary film on a local legend, the Blair Witch. And then they were never heard from again, and their footage was found a year later. So that's what we find out right out the gate. Right out!
Right out.
Gate is opened, words are on the screen, and I am left in suspense like, what? They're missing?
What is going on? These people that I'm watching are going to be dead?
Who is Heather?
They are dead? What?
Who's Josh? Wait, sole survivor, Mr. Josh?
It wasn't me, I promise.
Okay, because you're here.
Right.
I can see you. I could touch you.
But what if that was me and I went into hiding and then moved to Oklahoma.
Assumed
a new identity.
Perhaps it is.
It didn't happen. But.
Yeah, well, we don't know who Heather, Josh, and Mike are yet, but we're about to, because this next scene is them in Heather's house, and we see her. She's the first person we see on the screen. And
she's just saying, hi, this is my house, and guess what we're about to do?
We're about to, and then they all take their clothes off, and we're like, wait a second.
I think we got the wrong Blair Witch.
The Blair Witch Boot Project? What? I put the wrong movie in.
Oh, shit.
So they kind of get right into it.
The Blair Tit Project.
Immediately tell us what the Blair Tit Project. They immediately tell us why they've turned their cameras on. Like, we're here, here's myself, I'm the director, I've wanted to cover this mythic lore about the Blair Witch for some time. This is Josh, he's my cameraman.
And he's late. He shows up late.
He's always fashionably late. And then Mike, the sound guy, And he is so earnest in the beginning. He's like, oh, thanks, guys, for the opportunity. I'm really excited. Yeah, just excited to be here.
And they go pick him up at his house. And
he's just like,
we're just meeting the crew, you know?
Meeting the crew. They go shopping. We find out, and while they're going shopping, they're telling us, like, all right, here's kind of a little bit of the backstory of the Blair Witch.
Yeah, they have books about, like, early lore and survival in the woods, things that they think are going to help them along the way.
They tell us that this witch is from the late 1700s. She was banished from her town, which is Blair, because she had kind of lured kids into her house. We don't know. I mean, the lore is so convoluted, but all of that really we need to know.
We'll get a lot of the lore through, like, the townsfolk here in a moment.
But all we really need to know is she's a banished person that's in the forest, and
she's a kid killer.
She was a kid killer. And then when she was banished into the forest, the townspeople all kind of also started, like half of them within the winter time had either disappeared or died, and then they just kind of were like, oh, fuck this, and all the rest of the townspeople left.
Yes.
So, all right, now we're going to go, Heather and Josh and Mike are going to go into Burkittsville.
Oh, they got marshmallows.
Oh, yes, that is annoying. I know. They do this whole, like, zoom into these marshmallows because they're grocery shopping, and they're like, here, look at us buying brown rice.
We're funny.
We're going to be there for a couple days, so we got some marshmallows.
Brown rice.
And you need to know how it's spelled.
I'm going to make some brown rice treats.
What if they, like, heated up the marshmallows and then put the rice in it?
Uncooked.
Uncooked?
Uncooked.
And then they shoved them up each other's butt.
I thought you were going to say eat them, but that could work.
I think the butthole thing is better.
It's a different texture.
It's the new way of eating.
Yeah.
And you poop it out your mouth.
Yeah. I saw that at South Park.
Okay, so we're going to go meet some country bumpkins in the town of Burkittsville.
Yeah, and some of them are kind of funny. They're not all bumpkins. How rude. I'm just kidding. But, they're interviewing people on the streets, if you will. And you got an old man. He tells a few things. He gives actually quite a bit of the lore. He's mentioned, what does he mention?
Okay.
No, there's the really old man that's just like, I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
But then there's the other gentleman before him.
Yeah. He brings up Coffin Rock. And
yes.
Coffin Rock is a story that happened in the mid-1800s where, again, children went missing, a child went missing. There was a search party that went in to go find the child. That said child turns up, but the search party of 7 is found days later disemboweled and arranged in a way on this, what they call Coffin Rock, this area in the forest.
It was early. This is an early example of Thanksgiving.
Yes.
They would arrange the organs in a circle. No, I'm just...
Unfortunately, it was their organs, and so they...
It was pagan Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So the witch was given thanks. So he tells that story. So, and he tells them, Coffin Rock, kind of whereabouts it is, and they also meet a woman called Mary Brown. And Mary Brown she's a gaunt-looking lady.
Ooh, she lives in this trailer and she has, like, these sticks as, like, a gate, just to set the scene.
Yeah, and sticks are going to be important, guys, here. Throughout all of the lore that we hear, we're hearing about stick figures. We're hearing about bundles of sticks with oil on them and slime. So it's all it will be relevant.
Yes, and she's the one who tells us about the hairy arms.
Yes, the witch woman that she sees in the woods that's half human and half beast.
She said it has, like, fur like a horse. She says that a few times.
And
she had fur like a horse.
She's coming across as a little
kooky,
senile. Yeah. She's definitely seen some things, and maybe her seeing the Blair Witch has changed her life, and she's just not quite the same anymore.
There is also just, like, some random dude who probably gives, like, gives the biggest piece of information to the story that comes in effect at the end. He's the one who mentions, he takes the kids 2 at a time and puts one in the corner, makes the other one or kills the other one, puts one in the corner because she doesn't want him watching.
Yes, yeah.
And that will come in later. But yeah, you hear that at the beginning. You also have this lady who's carrying maybe like a 2-year-old, and she's telling nothing specific, but just kind of setting the mood of like, oh yeah, I've heard about this evil lady, and her daughter is even getting freaked out, like telling her mom, stop. It actually adds a lot of authenticity to like this documentary.
That these people in Burkittsville, of course, yes, we know that they are actors or whatever, but at the time,
that little girl wasn't acting. She was genuinely creeped out by what her mom was talking about.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, if you talk about it enough, like people start to just believe whatever everybody else, you put it out in the zeitgeist. So
kind of like the movie itself, everyone was saying, no, it's real, and so people started to believe
questioning it.
Oh, guys, do you hear the gentle downpour we're driving into?
I had just, damn it, Josh, I had jinxed us because I had said prior to us turning this on.
We'll be good for recording.
And I had even said, like, it's not going to happen until 4. Guys, it's 12:35.
I do see it's clearing up and hopefully this won't last long. Sorry, guys.
Well,
this just adds to our authenticity of being on the road, recording our show, the Scream Queens horror movie road trip podcast.
Motherfucking road tripping, bitches.
And now we're driving through just a random shower.
Okay, so let's go ahead. Okay, we've got the lure. We've got the scene set. They come across 2 more fishermen. They kind of go out a little bit to the forest area.
They go to the cemetery, remember?
Yes,
and she does, they kind of film their first scene. They're really excited about filming this first scene. And it's Heather just kind of pontificating very
heavily,
dramatically, melodramatically about the Blair Witch. And she uses this tone of, the Blair Witch was seen here. That kind of cadence of self-importance.
You could tell, I mean, she was definitely kind of, the delivery was, I am a recent film student who just can't wait to get my toes wet. I know all, do all, see all. You can't tell me anything that I don't already know. And that will come out too. She sometimes can be rather big-headed. The idea that she might get them lost, she knows these woods.
I think she's taking her role as director very seriously. She's like, I'm in charge. Safety is my problem. I don't have a second AD or a assistant director, so I'm in charge. I gotta do it all,
bitch.
I'm in charge of their safety, my safety, this film, its success,
everything.
So I'm gonna be hyper bossy. I don't want to call her a bitch because I don't like calling women bitches unless I'm just being funny. But she's being bossy pants.
She's driving the bus, as they would say. She is driving the bus. So that night, after they've done their filming in the cemetery, they have a alcohol-fueled evening where they are just letting out all the excitement, all the nervousness that's coming.
They're motorboating each other.
There are dicks on display.
Mike and Josh get real wild with each other.
There's handy dandies that are given and served. I think it's a well spent night.
It really sets up their commitment to one another.
Yes, yeah, they don't turn their backs on each other.
Just kidding, they don't do that, but they do drink and have fun.
Yeah.
They're carefree for the evening.
No, they, as some of our kids, or as some of our friends that have kids, they're child-free for the evening, so they are getting it.
Hashtag child-free for life.
Child-free for life. Okay, so now we're waking up, we've packed up, everybody's getting in the car, we're talking about how much battery power we have, that they could last a whole month out in the forest.
Setting up like, oh, how come their batteries never died out there?
Yeah, like in all that they shoot, because the camera, as they complain, the camera never stops, so like there is always a lens focused in on somebody.
And more so, they're always filming with the handheld, with the color, because I'm like, damn, they don't have, film's expensive.
Yeah.
They're not just continually shooting that 16 millimeter.
The black and white, no. But there are spots in that is so...
They definitely do use a lot.
Yeah. But the black and white, I love. It really creates that dramatic, like, dun dun dun, whenever the Blair Witch is coming around.
Yeah, especially like when they're just later when they see all the artifacts hanging around.
We're gonna get there, guys, because we're getting there now. Now they're parking. They're super excited. They've got their packs on.
They're saying goodbye to the car. We know it's the last time they'll ever see that car.
Yeah, because we saw that title card at the beginning
Yeah.
and it said it.
So when they're walking in, you're like, oh, honey, you're never going to see that car again.
Never.
You're never going to honk that horn.
Ever. Go ahead and
Pump
just...
those brakes. It's not going to happen.
Give it 2 looks, you know? Like, just go ahead and give it 2 more glances.
Give it a goodbye, baby, and just keep walking.
Oh, man. Oh, and we did we mention when we were at the cemetery that she points out that it's a lot of children that are buried there? Okay. Just making sure. Something about bringing up the kids a second ago. I was like, oh yeah, we need to mention there's a lot of dead children going on. Okay, so now we're walking. The 3 of them, they're having fun. They're getting their shots going.
And they meet some strangers in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Some locals who are out fishing, and they're, they got their big boots and their waders on.
They're telling them, hey, actually, you're super close to Coffin Rock, so just, head out this way. And this is the last, locals that we see. Who knows? Maybe they were intended to steer them.
Yeah,
steer them in a direction.
Yeah, and they're kind of set up in a way to be a red herring.
Mm-hmm.
So later you're like, when things are starting to happen, like, oh, maybe it's those fishermen fucking with them.
Yes. Yeah, the fucking fishermen?
The fucking fishermen.
Okay, so we get to our first night, and they're excited because they did get some footage of Coffin Rock, and they got to talk a little bit more about the trail, and there was an initial, oh, Heather, you steered us in the wrong direction.
It's like, oh, I figured it out. She's always, just so cool. Cool as a cucumber.
Mm-hmm. Trying to remain calm.
Cool as a squash. Cool as a zucchini,
Whatever
the saying is.
Yeah, an aubergine, an eggplant, any of those.
Yeah. Dick-shaped fruit. Gourds.
The next day, and when they wake up, Josh hints...
What did I do?
Not Soul Survivor, Mr. Josh,
yeah.
but Josh in the
Remember,
movie.
it's me.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you are Josh that's in Blair Witch.
I went and assumed another identity with the same name.
He was really original, and Yeshua. So Josh claims he heard some strange noises, and that's it. That's all he drops. He's not... Nobody's worried too much. They're thinking, we're out here just getting our footage. It's our last day. They're only going to be there for a weekend.
Yeah, they're like, I have to get back to work.
So
on Monday.
They even crack a joke about okay, Heather, don't get us lost anymore. Your map reading accuracy. You kind of couldn't admit that you got us off track or whatever. And okay, so maybe a little passive aggressiveness thrown in there. It's just over time we're gonna get more into passive aggressive and then tension.
Yeah, you definitely realize these people aren't friends outside of this job. You know, it is just a job for them.
Even though they alluded to that Josh and Heather are good friends at the beginning, I never really get a sense that any of them, I mean, maybe Josh and Mike, but I don't get a sense that the 3 of them are buds. Yeah. I think Mike thought it was a good opportunity, and Josh, I don't know. I guess they're friends. Maybe they're neighbors.
I mean, the first night when they're drinking, they seem to be having fun together. But other than that, I mean, they...
Or maybe they're the type of friends that constantly give each other shit. That's fine, too. All right, now we're going to cross over an arduous river, Josh.
Oh, I hated arduous river.
It's just so arduous.
No,
really, they are joking about it. They're having to cross over this fallen, thick tree branch to get over, and everybody's worried about the equipment.
And the camera. They're like, how are we going to get our dat and all our shit over dat? How are we going to get the dat over dat?
Dat. And they do. A part of me is dang, that's more of a hike than I would have. They're carrying all this shit on their backs and stuff, and they're going over a river. I'm gonna fall in Fuck that shit. Renting that equipment, it was probably expensive. Let's find another route. But they don't. So they keep going. And then they run into 7 strange piles of rocks.
There are, guys, there's rocks in the woods.
I told y'all's asses you should have gone another route.
I'm like, when I'm walking in the woods and I see rocks, it always freaks me out. I'm like, what is this rock doing where it's supposed to be?
What is this single rock? Well, they find piles of rocks.
Big piles.
So they find 7 piles of rocks.
Almost like a cow pooped out some rocks?
Yeah, almost like it.
In the woods?
Almost like it, except there weren't any cows.
All them wood cows.
Yeah. It's at this time that Heather's like, oh my gosh, wait a second. What about that thing that Mary Brown was telling us about the Bible and rocks? And I was like, okay. Well,
you're like, what is this, ancient aliens? We're really like stretching it this far, you know?
Like, hold up, okay, I get it, we're all trying to tether things together. Yeah, but you really out of nowhere, like, I'd have to rewind back and make sure that Mary Brown even says this thing about like piles of rocks in the Bible. But okay, so
I mean, we all know the Bible says a lot of things.
It says a lot of bullshit that, like, we don't need to get into. But I can't recall the story of the piles of rocks and the Bible, and neither can Heather, so we move on. And the only thing that I think of is that the man at the beginning who told us the story of the 7 people that went looking for that missing child, and they ended up in a formation with their insides on their outsides.
That's right.
So that's what I thought of when I saw those 7 piles, Heather.
You're like, shit, Heather, get out.
So they get spooked, and that night, so this is supposed to be their last night there, they are talking about how they're going to get back to the car the next day, and they are hearing some strange noises, but not anything too unsettling. They're hearing just this, like, crackling effect that's going on.
I think someone's just, like, walking around scoping them out.
Yeah, and
like, someone's out there.
Maybe there's reason to believe, because we saw those 2 fishermen in the beginning, that maybe we're dealing with some redneck bullies, but we don't know.
I hate a redneck bully.
Who does? Who really does? Okay, but they determine it's locals, and they decide, okay, all right, we woke up, it's time to head back to the car. Now we're just getting a lot of walking and talking.
There's a lot of walking and talking in this movie.
There's a lot of shitting and riffing on each other.
A lot of just strange noises.
We get Heather at every turn, like, is this something? And then wanting to get her camera out and shoot something. There's more piles of rocks that are going to be found. And we are again going to have instances where Heather is calmly telling them that she knows exactly where they are, even though we know she doesn't. Mm-hmm. We're pretty sure she's just trying to calm the waters. The guys are...
She's just appeasing them, telling them what they want to hear.
But the guys aren't really falling for it. They are kind of like, okay, well...
Show us, yeah.
Yeah, like, we're going to do a map check in a second once we get past this area. And then we get Josh's face and Heather saying, okay, guys, well, looks like we're back on track. So it's one of those, like, where they shut the cameras off to look at the map. We don't see this part or whatever. And then they turn it back on and Heather's like, okay, we're all fine. And Josh's like, not really. Like, I don't think we are. But
you keep, say so.
Yeah, you keep saying we are. And then we get a lot of talk of, like, you get the sense that they're all thinking they're going to have to stay the night again. And they're starting to get a little upset. People are talking about, I've got to return this equipment.
I got to get to work. They're expecting me at work. And this is 1994. They don't have cell phones out in the woods yet. I mean, if they did, that definitely doesn't have service in 1994. And
it's like, all of a sudden you can kind of hear it in Heather's tone. She's like, okay, guys, like, I think we're gonna need to stay the night. And I would have been too. I would have been pissed, because she had been for hours saying, like, okay, we're just a couple hours away from the car. It's just around here. We're gonna, just one more turn, one more pass, one more clearing, we're gonna be there. And then all of a sudden you can see the sun is setting, and she's like, okay, guys, I think it's going to get pretty dark, and I think we should set up camp.
And we're left wondering, like, Does she know what she's talking about?
Mm-hmm.
She's just telling them what they want to hear. Is she gonna get them killed? We're also wondering, okay, she's either lying or the witch is fucking with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe she does know where she's going, but they're getting just like turned in circles by magic.
It's by magic.
By witches' magic.
By magique. I believe it is pronounced magique.
Wish magique.
Wish magique. That's the best band name ever.
For witch magic. Wish magique.
Wish magique.
It's French, I think.
Or we're making it. We're gonna make it French. So that night, everybody's a little pissed at the circumstance, but you know, trying to see on the bright side. So they're like, you know, let's just get to bed early. That night they hear more cracking sounds, and they even get up and inspect a little bit, and
they don't know.
We gather it's coming from all around.
But when they get up in the morning, guess what? They've been left a present.
They've been left 3 presents.
And I don't think it was the wood cows.
But it was definitely
piles of rocks.
Piles of rocks. And there were 3 of them. I mean, I don't know. You read into it what you want to. I'm going to read into it that they're fucked.
One for each of them, because there's 1, 2, 3 of them, and then 3 rocks.
1, 2,
3.
Trace.
Uno, dos, 3.
3. So there's 3 piles of rocks, and they're fucked, and they don't want to admit it. And
there's been an accident.
There's been an accident. We're on the road. The sheriff of Pulaski is actually cutting in front of us right now.
We actually have like cops pulling in front of us. And I'm scared. Okay, I guess I can keep going.
Here we go. Okay, thank you, County Sheriff.
Thank you, Ossifer.
Oh man, that sucks, guys. This guy definitely fender bendered for sure.
I hate seeing people in wrecks and accidents.
Whoops. Everybody's fine though. Everybody was out of their cars.
Everyone looks safe.
Everybody looks safe.
They just look like they're having a shitty day now.
2 cars look like, they were probably going to need to be towed. Okay, back on track. So,
guys, this is real.
This real time. I mean,
we're really on the road.
We're passing Peak Creek right now.
Can I let you in on a little secret? We're actually in a rental sound booth. We're not in one of our usual sound booths.
Nah,
there was a funny thing that happened and went down. I ended up getting a free rental car. It happened to be right before I was going on my trip. I told the people, like, hey, I'm going on a trip. And they're like, that's cool. So instead of putting thousands of miles on my sound booth, I'm putting thousands of miles on their sound booth.
On the Mitsubishi Eclipse SUV.
Yeah. It's bomb.
It's roomy AF.
We're getting to drive a bomb diggity.
So much room for activities.
There's lots of activity room.
I'm stretching my feet. I'm stretching my ass. I'm stretching my everything.
Everything's stretched.
Everything's stretched.
Okay, back to the show.
Okay, 3 piles of rocks, and Heather can't find something.
Heather just can't even, okay?
Heather cannot find the map. And at first, we all think it's a joke. Like,
she's like, I can't find the map.
It's a joke.
And Josh, they're all acting so pissed at her for losing the map. And she's like, I had the map. And she's even thinking one of them took it. She's like, which one of you took it?
Yeah, you can tell in her, I believe her, though, because she's like, no, seriously, guys, like, I've had it in my back pocket this whole time. We took it out yesterday, like last night, we did a map check. You guys had it. Where is it? And
you're like, I give it back to you.
Mike is kind of wandering around a lot while this conversation is happening. I mean, he's definitely participating in it.
And you think he's just angry.
But you think, he's pissed. He's like, so pissed. Josh is like beyond pissed. And then for the rest of the walk, he is talking himself into like an it's okay moment. He's like, well, okay, my girlfriend's going to wonder where I am. Heather's over there saying, like, you can't get lost in the forest anymore, guys. Yeah. There's search parties that are going to be sent for it. It's like, everybody's immediately going worst case scenario because they can't find the map. And they start turning their day around. Everybody starts laughing about like what's going on. It went from like, oh my God, it's the worst thing ever to, this is kind of funny.
They're like, we'll have a hilarious story to talk about one day. She's like, this will be hilarious one day.
They get to this river, and you can tell it's later in the day, and although they're all trying to have fun, Mike's cracking up, Josh has just passed over it in his he's like, it's okay, Heather, come on. She gets her boots wet, and then they start laughing at her. She starts crying. Everybody just starts kind of breaking down, and then she says, please, just one of you tell me that you have the map. Yeah. Almost like in the back of her mind, it never went away. She is convinced that one of them took the map.
I'm like, Josh, give it.
Josh is getting pissed because he doesn't like being accused of taking a map that, he in fact didn't take.
Is this when Mike? And finally Mike's like, guys, guess what? I kicked the map in the river because fuck that map. It was only getting us lost. So I kicked it into the creek.
And when he says this, he's laughing hysterically.
And they're all like, nuh-uh, no you didn't.
So
no you didn't.
It goes from like, that's not a funny joke to Josh and Mike are fighting. Like, he's like pulling them around. You think that they're gonna get in a like...
There's a lot of screaming. There's lots of shaky camera. I mean, the whole movie is a shaky camera, but it gets really shaky.
It gets really...
I would say on a shake level, it's like a 9.
Oh, I was gonna go ahead and just say straight up 10. By the end of this movie, it's a 10.
It's like a 15.
Oh, it's a 25. I know we said on a scale of 1 to 10.
It's like a 30.
It's 100. Okay, so we get crying. We get Josh under a tree pleading for cigarettes, crying. We have Mike, who at one point is walking around singing God Bless America.
They're all like slowly losing their minds. It's becoming a portrait of madness in the woods.
They're all not believing the compass that they have anymore. It keeps, they keep thinking they're going south, but...
Then they show up somewhere they've just been like hours before.
And it's time to talk about making camp when all of a sudden they see a new clearing and they see interesting things,
stick people
hanging
things
everywhere.
And you can tell they're created by people. Mm-hmm. That they're not natural. That these were put there for a reason.
Nope, they're not nature. They're not natural. They were straight up, somebody was like, I'm going to take some sticks and make them into people figures and hang them up here.
They're
it's
like,
not scary at all.
I'm a bored hillbilly or an evil witch with a hobby. It's one or the other.
Or both.
Yeah.
She is both.
Oh, another little rain shower.
Raindrops keep falling on my head.
We're in a car. They're not falling on your head.
Oh, okay. Well, if I roll this motherfucking window down. No, I'm not gonna. Okay. So we've got runic symbols happening. We've got shaped people out of sticks. And we have Heather always filming. And it's really starting to take a toll on the guys. They have asked her to stop.
Out of my face. She's like, it's all I have left.
Yeah, they do all at one point or another during this like 30 minutes where they're just completely lost in the movie, have these like breakdowns where they're crying. Mike at one point eats a leaf just, because he's hungry. They don't have much food anymore.
Remember they made those rice treats
that they shoved up their butts.
Brown rice.
Didn't take them back out.
I didn't think about saving those for later.
They've got to camp again. And this time, they decide to not turn on any flashlights or make a fire because they think that the rednecks are following them and making those piles of rocks and scaring them.
They're like, the first night we didn't have anything, any light, and nothing happened to us. He's like, ever since, every night that we've had a campfire or lights, something's happened.
Something strange.
Put the two and two together, deductive reasoning, let's don't turn on the lights tonight.
Exactly. But in the middle of the night, they are all woken up and the tent is shaking. And it looks like there are people beating on the outside of the tent. They're screaming, but it's like child screaming. There's even like what sounds like maybe a baby crying.
And Heather and Josh and them take off. They just get out of their tent and run for it.
With their cameras on, because they're always shooting. And she, at one point, they're all running. This is a lot in the black and white, and I like that. She is screaming, "What is that? What is that? Look over there!" And they don't. The camera never pans over to where
what
she is.
Seeing.
Yeah, seeing, but she's apparently seeing, I guess, the witch.
It's the witch. But a little behind the scenes fact is one of the directors in like Long John's and like something on his head just running along the forest, scaring the shit out of her.
Because they don't know that this stuff is going on. Like, they're just shooting. They're just acting like they're these
They're
people.
getting, like, every day they're getting different notes put somewhere that says, like, Heather, today you guys do this, or you guys need to talk and fight about this. You know, there's things, beats that they're supposed to meet every day.
Kind of like a script.
But very loose. They improvise it, and that's what they have to go on. So they knew something was going to happen that night. They actually said they had to shoot that twice.
Yes.
But they had to go back and do it again.
Because somebody fell and fell in a creek, and like then they had to it was super cold, and he had to put on everybody had to take off an article of clothing so that this person could put it on.
Yeah.
The behind the scenes is really interesting.
I mean, it would have been hardcore. Like, it would have been. I mean, they were out there doing it. They were out there lost. I mean, not really lost, but, you know, they were out there in the woods for days just filming this shit. I mean, it would have been fun and hard.
And they depleted their food supply. I mean, like, they weren't just, like, giving them extra food. And they did have to carry their packs around. The only thing during it that they didn't, and why in the movie you always see it, it's like, okay, they're about to leave, but the tent is still up.
Yeah.
That the producers would come and they would take the tent down and they would put it up at like the next place. Other than that, they're all trekking. Like, they're doing all of that arduous work themselves. So now they're running for it. We get them. They're all crowded around together, and they just kind of wait it out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the woods. The three of them, they just hunker down by some trees and wait until the sunlight comes, and then they return back to their camp, and it is like ransacked. Their belongings have been pulled out, but Josh's belongings are just destroyed, and there's like slime all over his backpack.
Yeah, and he's like, what is this slime?
Guys, I got slime.
Hey guys, there's slime. What is this slime?
He rubs it on his face and
puts the slime on its skin, or else it gets the hose again.
Oh, goodness.
You know?
Just, a little Silence of the Lambs for you. Okay. They find also...
A little SOTL humor.
Just dripping that in. They also find some more wooden sticks that are fashioned like people. And Heather just keeps on filming.
Now, when does Josh go missing?
It's going to be the next
night.
Yeah, so
jeez, they're there like a million nights.
Yeah, they are. They end up like in the movie. They say 5 nights is how long they were there. So they planned 2, and then they ended up doing 3 more. And we have Josh is going to go missing. So we have a night where they're almost completely out of food. They start talking about like, when I get back, I can't wait to have this cheeseburger.
I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna eat that.
We have Heather being kind of maternal and like mending some jeans for Josh because his clothing was kind of torn up. His belongings got all ripped apart. And then that next morning, when they wake up, he's gone. And they didn't get bothered that night. Yeah. Almost like it was a warning.
They came and just took him.
They just took him.
Out of the tent that they were sharing. That's what's really creepy.
That's what's really creepy.
How did he get out without them knowing? Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know, because like I'm not the heaviest of sleepers, so if you get up, I'm probably gonna know that you're leaving, unless I'm so exhausted.
Unless you've been enchanted by a witch.
Unless I've been enchanted by an exhausted witch.
Yes. So that's what happened. They were enchanted by a witch.
And now, I'm sorry, but if I woke up and like you weren't there, because you're Josh,
yeah.
So if I woke up and you weren't there,
I was now on my way to Oklahoma to assume I knew I did.
That's exactly what happened. Oh, now I know when it all happened. It was in 1994.
Mystery solved.
So what do you do when you wake up and your friend is gone?
You search around and find their bloody teeth and hair.
Yeah, she does.
And a rag.
She does end up finding in another scene when she's looking around for stuff that there is this bundle of sticks that's wrapped up, and in it is blood, hair. It looks like a tooth.
A couple teeth. There's like a couple teeth in there.
And then Josh's shirt.
Yeah,
so
it's all wrapped up in his shirt.
And we're led to believe that he's probably not made it. Or
is it just a little sliver of his shirt?
It's just a little sliver of his shirt. It's wrapped up in the sticks and stuff.
Okay.
And she unbundles it, and it's a little sign from the Blair Witch that she's taking care of things. And when Heather finds this, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. She like washes her hands of the blood.
It freaks her out.
She tosses it and doesn't say a damn thing to Mike about it. I mean, she is still a little frazzled.
She's like, I need him on his game. I don't need him anymore. Freaked out.
Yeah, he's he's eating leaves over here.
We got a leaf eater in the group.
And so this is the last night now that it's just the two of them. It's very sad. It's somber. They are pretty sure that, Josh isn't going to come back. They've already had to move on. And then they start hearing him screaming through the night.
Josh screaming.
And they run out and they're trying to find him.
Oh shit, Josh!
Heather makes this kind of video, like, confessional under a tree.
This is the infamous booger snot video.
She's
that's been
apologizing to everybody's parents, and
she feels responsible.
She's saying it was even though it wasn't me, I wasn't always the one leading us astray. It inevitably is me,
Justine.
because it's my fault and I did it. And oh wait, I need a tissue. I have a booger coming out. Yeah.
Like, fuck it, just snot rocket it.
Oh God. So she's very scared, and Mike and her, they wake up. They have one more day where they're trying to walk around, and one more night where they got to go to sleep, and this is the night where the rest of it happens. They wake up again in the middle of the night, they hear the screams, and they run for it. They're at this point where it's like, okay, I'm done staying, and then every night it's just like a countdown to when we're going to get scared again. So they embrace this night almost
get it.
Let's just find Josh.
And they're going through the woods, screaming for Josh, screaming for one another. They find a house in the middle of the woods.
It's this dilapidated, abandoned home.
Old-looking farmhouse.
It is.
Y'all, it's old looking.
It's covered in runic symbols, and then the stick
Handprints
figures.
of children.
There is handprints.
Bloody handprints of children.
Everywhere!
Damn.
And
Wishes.
I know that, like, in the moment when you're rushing to find your friend that's been missing, you're not really paying too close attention to everything, but there were handprints everywhere.
And they kind of separate from one another. She goes upstairs. Mike goes downstairs. All of a sudden, she doesn't hear Mike anymore. Something's happened to Mike.
And we just hear her, and she is screaming.
What's funny, I think does she have the black and white camera?
Yes.
Okay, she has the black and white camera, so you're hearing the sound from the video camera that's down in the basement, because I'm not getting into it. They're not recording sound on the 16 millimeter.
Correct, yeah.
So the sound that you're hearing, sounds all muffled because it's detached from the video you're seeing, and it adds a really creepy, spooky level to the sound design.
When they're editing it, they're like, well, we got to hear it from somewhere, and so we get this. She's running. We get her running all the way down. She's up at the top of the attic. We get her running all the way down into the basement. And then it doesn't get as detached. The closer she gets to the basement, the closer in it seems that her voice lines up with. Okay, and then she runs into the basement, and we see Mike
just standing in the corner, like in a daze.
And he's facing the corner. We see his back.
And you immediately think of the story the man, just the regular bro dude, told us earlier about how the Blair Witch would take pairs and put one in the corner while they killed the other. So because they didn't want the other one watching them. They didn't want the eyes on her. Mm-hmm. She didn't want the eyes on her.
But she had to be like 2 by 2. So I guess you guys know what's about to happen. Something knocks the camera out of Heather's
You hear her
hands.
Screaming too. She's like, Mike, just screaming. Then the camera falls, her screams end.
And we get just a couple more seconds of that film running, and it dies off.
And then movie over.
We get, all the the ending credits, and then at the very end, we get something to just help us try to believe that this is real, that they, weren't found. It's over.
It's creepy stuff. It's unsettling. It's definitely a slow burn. I remember leaving the theater in 1999 with like my sisters, my brother-in-law, mom, and all of us just like talking about it. Like it immediately spawned conversation and like, whoa, what do you think the ending? Us putting the pieces of the dialogue together to get the conclusion of the ending. Like, oh, remember earlier he said this about putting him in the corner, and I can remember like it so creeped me out that I thought the first time I saw it, Mike was floating. Just like when you first see it, when you're creeped out, you think you see things you didn't see.
Right.
Then, going back and be like, oh, he's not floating. He's just standing there, So, yeah, we'll get more into, like, our Knife ratings and favorite scenes and just overall feelings about the movie when we get back from Burkittsville.
Yeah, we've still got quite a ways to go. I'd say, I just saw the Winchester sign, which is where we are going to
stay,
drop ourselves off and stay for a while. Burkittsville is literally like just a hop, skip, and a jump from that area. Mm-hmm. So, we've got like 200 miles left. So we still got a ways to go, but
we're excited to go hit up Burkittsville. Like I said, we're just going to see what the town is like, and we're going to try to hit up some spots for the movie. Like we said, only the cemetery and some of the signs going into town were shot. But, if we have some time, maybe we'll do some other shit. Because I know there's a lot of... You just got to travel over Maryland, essentially, to hit up these other spots. So if we have time for that, we'll have time for it. If not, we'll still bring you a great show.
And we still went to Burkittsville, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Bitch! Okay, all right, we'll see you in a second.
Love you. See you in 2 seconds.
Didn't show up to the party.
She's not very friendly, and I hear she's very introverted. She just didn't want to come out and play with us.
We didn't bring the proper toys.
Mm-mm. Or protocol, perhaps, or etiquette.
Yeah,
there's something about us she didn't like.
We just weren't following like children do.
Mm-hmm.
So now we are back in the car. We're headed back to base camp, and
yeah, Burkittsville's boring.
It's literally what I've written down here. Burkittsville is boring.
We had a beautiful drive in. We took some really pretty back roads in Maryland into Burkittsville, and we came up this hill, and we immediately saw the church and the graveyard. And we knew it was it. We're like, oh, that's gotta be the Blair Witch Project graveyard.
I said it just like that, too.
Yeah. She even went, graveyard.
A graveyard. So we danced around in the graveyard, took lots of pictures.
Got a lot of cool pictures. We saw, the graves in the movie where she's like, ooh, there's a lot of children's graves. Took pictures of that, because there is a whole section of, sadly, children's graves.
Dead kids.
Yeah, more dead kids. So sad.
And then we got a picture of a sign.
Yeah, we took a picture in front of the Burkittsville, Maryland sign. It's not the same sign anymore from the movie. We had read that it's been stolen. But also, that was 20 years ago. They might have would have updated it in general anyways.
Yeah, perhaps.
The sign was really nice, looked more modern than the one in the movie. So...
Our sweaty asses took a picture in front of it.
Yeah, check it out on Instagram if you like.
Want. For the most part... Burkittsville is like farmland.
It's lots of farmland. It's one strip. There's a main street with a few houses. I believe there was a post office, a church, and that's kind of all we saw. That's all we saw of Burkittsville. Most of the movie was actually filmed like in the forests out near, closer to Baltimore, and they did a pretty intense hike. We weren't about to be walking through the forest trying to find that house or whatnot. We're not trying to get Blair Witched ourselves here, guys.
Hell no. Hope y'all didn't think I was headed to that home, because that was not the case.
We're not going to the Blair Witch's house in the middle of the fucking forest, okay?
saw-
Get off our backs!
I saw homes in Burkittsville, Maryland. That should be enough for you guys.
Yeah, we went to Burkittsville, Maryland, home of the Blair Witch.
We
and
couldn't
it was
even
neat.
find a restaurant to eat at
Yeah.
in Burkittsville to have some lunch.
We had to go to the town next door. What is the name of
Brunswick.
it? Brunswick. I actually have an aunt and uncle, a beloved aunt and uncle that live in Brunswick. We ate lunch there.
Yeah.
Not with them, unfortunately.
No, not with them.
We weren't able to see them while we were there.
But yeah,
But we went there to eat because there's nothing in Burkittsville.
But it was fun. The place that we ate at, it's like a creamery and a grass-fed burgers place called Boxcar, but it's an outpost for people that are hiking on the Appalachian Trail.
Yes. It's, like I said, gorgeous area. If you remember in the movie, they do their first scene for their documentary in that graveyard, and you can just see the rolling hills in the background, and it's gorgeous. If you were to have seen it in color, you would have, realized just how
Maybe your
beautiful.
heart would have jumped, skipped beat.
And you're like, damn it, Burkittsville's beautiful. Burkittsville is beautiful but boring.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It's
all I
going to
have
be
to
on
say
their
on that.
headstone. Burkittsville's headstone will say, Burkittsville is boring.
Beautiful and boring.
But boring. Okay, so after we did all of that and hunted for our little Blair Witch baby,
Blair Witch baby.
now we're heading back to, like I said, to our base camp.
I really wanted to finish that song, but we can continue.
I don't know. Should you finish
No,
that song?
I shouldn't. Let's just continue.
Okay. Well, would you like to start us off with some favorite scenes, Soul Survivor, Mr. Josh?
Well, it's kind of hard to pick a favorite scene because really a lot of the movie is quite similar. It's a lot of just building tension about these characters being lost in the forest, and at first, that is the real plight of the movie, is they are lost. And then in the mix, you get some of the frightening noises at night. It's definitely a slow burn. My favorite scene, damn, I really, I'm gonna have to go with the hermit lady.
Yeah.
Who Vicente Price, if you're listening, gives some hermit realness.
Yes, yes, he does. Yeah. Hermit realness.
Hermit realness. Yeah, that scene's really creepy. I really like how she talks about the hairy bodies and you get more of the lore. Maybe altogether, all of the interviews, because I like the lady or the dude that just mentions the putting in the corner, and then you have the lady with the baby whose baby is getting frightened, her toddler is getting frightened, and just those scenes in general, I really like how they're discussing the Blair Witch and really trying to color in who she is. It's creepy. It's tension building. So I'm going to go with the interviews kind of at the beginning.
Okay, you're going to go with them interviews.
The views of the inter.
The starting point where we're all just like, oh my god, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I like folklore and stories anyways, creepy town legends. So even though this is all fictionalized, it's still fun to listen to.
I
Especially
totally
these
agree.
people who were kind of just ad-libbing. It's interesting to see what they came up with for the movie.
I totally agree. But I will pick a different
You
scene.
do that. You go, girl.
Since but yes, the lore is alluring.
Alluring lure.
Probably okay. I'll go fave scene. I'm gonna go with it's it's well towards the end. It's when they arrive in the thicket area, and it's all the little people that have been put together with the bundles of sticks. By that time, they're lost. They're way lost. There's already been a lot of reveals. People don't like each other anymore. So now, and also Heather, she's just never going to stop filming. So here they are. They arrive in the little area that's super scary, where there's just 1,000 stick figures floating from the tree branches.
You've always loved the stick figure, so this makes sense.
I love to stick dick figure.
A stiff dick figure.
Stiff dick.
So, I thought it was
I said a stick dick figure.
Not a stiff dick figure.
Okay. Whatever. So, yeah, because I like how by the time they've arrived there, it's like, okay, it's really, really real.
It's really real, guys.
It's really, really, really real. She's real. She's going to get them. They kind of realize, oh my gosh, there's no way rednecks just came out in the middle of the night and put up all of these bundles of sticks.
They would really have to be working for it. They're like, damn, these people are obsessed with us night after night, coming out here and
they had to make
fucking
these
shit
prior because there's thousands of them. They're just like everywhere, big ones, small ones.
They're so ominous.
I like that scene a lot because it's just kind of like the culmination of all the fears coming to a head, and they're about to explode with the tension.
Oh my god!
That is the three of them hating each other, but then also sticking together because they know they should in order to survive.
But then Josh doesn't stick together, and then they're like freaking out trying to find him.
Ah!
Damn it, Josh.
Gosh, yeah, but if not for Josh leaving, I wouldn't have Josh now.
Damn it, me. So, what's your knife rating?
What's my knife rating? How dare you ask me what my knife rating is?
Fine.
Okay, I'll just go three knives. It's, it does a really good job of just build up. I mean, even down to before the movie ever came out, the build up of like, who is the Blair Witch and what is she all about?
Who is she? What is she?
Can
Who's
I
that
relate?
girl?
But yeah, it's a good 3. It is scary. It scared me back when I saw it, and I am scared from time to time when I'm watching it because it resonates with, like nobody wants to get lost in the woods, and nobody likes a story about a bad witch.
Mm-mm. We like good witches.
I like them goods. What about you, Josh?
Well, I'm gonna give it an extra 0.5 just for the cultural significance and like the historical significance of the movie. Like, it was kind of the first found footage film, and it created a phenomenon. It's like, I don't think we would have had Cloverfield or VHS or Wreck or a lot of these movies that claim to be like, lost footage that's been found and edited and put together. We've had mockumentaries in the past. There's like the French film Man Bites Dog, and lots of, even the Christopher Guest movies and Spinal Tap. There's been mockumentaries or even films presented as fact that aren't fact, but nothing along the lines like the Blair Witch, their internet campaign that we talked about earlier, and even everything that was just in the print media that was trying to get you to believe that this is real, and really never been done to that effect before. So, and like you said, I would have just given it a 3. It was exciting when it was new, but now it's a little boring. I hate to even say that. I don't like saying boring. I feel like boring people are boring. You know what I mean?
And maybe it's for the fact also that we've watched it a few times lately, and so the beats are starting to just kind of get a little
stale.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of them just like being annoying. A lot of their fighting is just annoying. You're like, all of you guys calm down. Quit being douchebags. Just calm the fuck down, and you'll get out of this forest. But instead, they're playing like petty little games, like I kicked it in. And I get we're supposed to believe that it's the Blair Witch that's creating their
altered moods and
and messing with their psyche and really making them go against maybe their personality. But
or
to that
maybe
effect,
heightening their personalities too,
bring out the worst of their personalities. But so yeah, I'm gonna go 3.5 knives.
All right, well, that's great.
Yeah,
you're very giving.
And we're on a really cool road trip, and we're actually gonna be like in the next couple of days filming another episode for you
recording
guys.
Another episode because we don't really film, but
yeah, that's true. We're out on the East Coast right now, so we're just gonna get a couple episodes while we're out here around some cool shit. So in the next couple of days, we're going to the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, and we're going to do what movie?
House on Haunted Hill. We're going to Weston, West Virginia, and we're going to go to the Lunatic Asylum that's been covered over a lot of different...
Yeah, I've seen it on that, like, Portals to Hell. It's been on what other shows? Like Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventurers.
Yeah. People are scared.
People are really scared. It's apparently one of the most haunted locations in America.
Oh,
so
no! Do you think we're going to have an
the
experience?
Winchester House in California, and then like this, like they have some of the most activity, and I'm excited to go see what happens. So episode 42, this is it. We're wrapping up. Blair Witch Project coming soon. Episode 43. House on Haunted
Hill. Yeah.
I kept wanting to say The Haunting of Hill House, but that is not the right movie.
It's not, but
That's a show.
There are different words, and then you scramble them up, and they're the same.
That's right.
All right. Well, we love you guys.
Check us out on Instagram. We can't forget to tell them. We got to plug ourselves.
Yeah.
Where all can they find us? Instagram
and on Facebook and on our website at www.screamqueenspodcast.com.
And remember, it really helps us out if you go write us a review. And of course, the positive review. We don't want to hear from you if you hate us.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, we're not really shitty about films, so don't be shitty about us. If you don't like it, don't listen.
Oh, boo. So yeah, go review and rate us. It helps us out a lot. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate your love.
See you soon.
Bye.